no, it started. Cool. So this is just a midway point conversation more than anything, just to track everything. You've done a lot of your stuff in video format, so you'll have to sort of discuss what these videos are showing. But you've obviously kept on top of this project quite a lot.
Not as much as modularly.
No, you've done a lot on that, yeah, definitely. So what is it again that you're hoping to achieve from refining these skills?
So I said that I was going to write a film, to a film clip, which is one skill that I'm technically developing, but it's not the main skill.
Okay.
My main skills were developing and working with Logic stock plugins, so like the instruments, whether I can develop them and make my own within Logic, and synths, if I could add like some synths that will fit the style of music that I'm writing.
Bro.
So yeah.
Okay. So, and is that kind of like, is that summarised quite well in your first video?
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep talking. So I'm recording the one side over there, so all the audio in the background is being picked up. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So that's summarised quite well in your
it's
first video.
broken down within each week and what I'll be doing each week, and then
So your kind of end goal here really, like if we were to select, again, just let's get the brief on screen so that we can reference it.
Yeah. Sounds funny. You don't know where the little jack converter leads are, do you?
I don't know.
It's one of those.
We haven't really got any. Got my own.
Yeah, we bought loads in the summer and they came to the office, but I can't find any.
No, I haven't seen them since we've come back. So we were on the brief.
Yeah.
Ideally, at the end of it, we need to hit LNA 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Identify personal opportunities and areas of improvement, create a plan for the development, and obviously develop the skill itself.
Yeah.
So we've kind of identified the opportunities you can get from it. How is it going to assist your future prospects? That's the one thing to probably question, really.
Okay.
And obviously the plan itself, you're going to have done in quite a lot of video format anyway.
Yeah, it's the first one, yeah.
So I'll be able to see your progress in a practical sense,
Yeah.
which you kind of need to anyway, really. There's an evidenced learning now about developing your musical skills in response to the plan.
Yeah.
So we need to see that your plan is carried out, and we can see where you're starting.
Whether I'm sticking to it and whether I'm not.
That's it. So
That's what these videos are.
Brilliant.
So these videos will be saying like, on my plan I said this for week 1.
Of course.
And then this is what I aim to achieve by the end of week 1. And then there's another video at the end of week 1 saying whether I've achieved it, whether I've stuck on track, what I've done, show them what I've done, and whether next week I might have to delay what I was originally going to do because I haven't achieved what I've wanted to achieve in week 1, or whether I'm ahead of track or whatever.
Yeah, of course. There is a request for a timeline or a Gantt chart of some sort. That might be helpful just from a visual perspective.
I did write it down on a piece of paper. Is that it all?
I mean, that's fine, yeah. If you've done it on paper format, you can photograph it and put that on your website. You can do anything like that, really. That's what
it is in the video as well, I think. So
that's fine. If it's in there, that's
that video is just basically me reading off that piece of paper, which I did say.
So if you've got access to it, you might want to just snapshot that and put it underneath, yeah. There is obviously an idea of what you should include in the blog, which I no doubt you have anyway. And obviously a checklist of evidence.
Yeah.
There's got to be justifications for why you're carrying out the development and how it's going to assist you in the future. There's got to be a series of development plans, which, as you say, a lot of that's going to be in self-led video-based form. If there are scripts that you're reading from, and there are plans you're following, you are inevitably not going to have a plan in your head for 8 weeks. It's not going to happen. So you've got something noted down somewhere on how you're going to do this. Those are the sorts of things we need to see appearing on your website, I would suggest. And obviously the final evaluative presentation is going to be done to the cohort.
Okay.
Brilliant. So, moving on to kind of week 2, where did it take you? So you kind of knew what you wanted to start with.
So week 2, I think it was writing the song. I spent 2 weeks, week 2 and 3, writing the song. I didn't spend too much time because obviously that wasn't my main thing. It was getting my Logic stock instruments and
of course.
So working with the plugins was more my main objectives to develop because I don't really know too much knowledge on them. So in 2 and 3 I just wrote the song, and then so that was it really. It was just creating and composing to a film clip.
Are you developing certain skills associated
musical
with
theory, which is in the video I've shown. That I went on to musictheory.net and I was developing like.
It's good that it's moving in that direction because it inevitably will do, won't it? Are you developing more of your sort of popular music-based theory related skills, or are you actually developing score-related skills?
It's like my popular stuff, so like adding sevenths, like because I know how to add sevenths, but I've never looked properly and read about it. So I just showed them what kind of pieces of information I took and applied that into my work.
And then obviously moving on to week 3, then, so at that stage now where you've done some levels of composition, you've developed some certain related skills associated with theory. Where's it starting to move to at this point then?
So in that point I talked about what theory I'd developed and how I implemented that into my composition. And then from week 3, it was kind of, after week 3, so at the end of it, it was kind of, this is what I'm doing next week. So it was creating Logic stock instruments, working with the Logic stock instruments. I think on my plan I did say that I might have done synths first, but I've decided, I said it would be very alternative with those two.
Good.
So yeah, that's week 4 and 5, which is 5 is now, so I'm still developing that.
That's good.
And then there it shows you like what video, like what I did, how I've kind of started, where I found this. So I've got a YouTube video which I found that from. So.
And are you going to synchronise? What's the visual synchronicity of this at the end of it? Because you're composing for something that's associated with film.
Yeah.
How are you synchronising this to some form of video at the end of it? Are you composing to a picture? Are you composing to some film?
A film clip, yeah.
What film clip are you using?
James Bond, the ending scene where he dies.
Have you tried some other, creative related things like short compositions?
Different.
Yeah, like, where you're developing your use of 7th chord, like just a 30-second composition associated with a photo. Yeah. You could take a photo of the ledge outside the window with all the leaves on it and compose a piece of music that supports
like
the
we
autumn.
did this step last year.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the sorts of things you could potentially do aside from it, like not to deter you away from your big project, but you're going to be composing straight for 8 weeks.
I am ahead, so it is.
Because sometimes what you'll find is you'll have, and this is a common compositional process, but sometimes you'll have ideas that unless you get them out onto some sort of a palette, so to speak, they'll kind of shelter and stop your creativity from moving forward. So you might have had certain ideas and go, nah, it doesn't work.
It don't work.
It doesn't mean that it's not going to work. It means it doesn't work for this, but it'll work for something else. And then all of a sudden, a tempo change and a key change makes it fit wherever you need it to change. Whether that's a relative major or a minor format change. There's so many different approaches you can take, but if you've got about 20, 30, 40 different Logic projects with different starter ideas,
it develops
at that point. So I think that's where you can take this next, because you're at the stage now where you're composing still, you're picking up elements of effects and processes to change the sound and alterations. But it'd be good for you to show how your theory skills are developed
into something else.
That's it. And I mean, there's probably a lot of work that's happening that maybe isn't logged, and there's probably subconscious conversations you have with yourself as well that are changing. So that sort of stuff needs to be logged as much as possible as well. But no, it's good.
Okay.
I think you're making good progress. You know exactly what your end goal is ultimately, and that's a good thing to know. So the fact that you're learning different skills that weren't initially associated with the process is exactly what it should be about.
Picked up extra ones on the way which I didn't think I'd need.
That's it.
But there's like the research that I've done as well is all on there. Like for the first week I was researching about film composition and like film composers and how they wrote their music, and that's all on that document there.
Perfect.
So
and obviously, you can start to nod a little bit now to the criteria. There's 3 criteria to hit for this assignment itself. We've got to see that you've related those opportunities to your specialism and goals, and make sure that there's a connection to the practical development of that particular skill. Create a plan that includes goals, techniques, and routines. They've got to be outlined, timelines, and review points. This will serve as a review point. No doubt there'll be other review points that you do individually. And obviously we need to see improvement of the skill, essentially, which it looks like we're going to see anyway. And it's taking you in a direction which is good as well. Some things will work, some things won't work, and it's about you being analytical.
I don't think the synths are working.
That's fine.
But
if it doesn't,
I'm still going to carry on with them to see how far I can get with it until I'm completely stuck.
And obviously your evaluative commentary, your last commentary, is going to be a presentation to the group, so you can really hone in there on what you actually developed. You can show snippets of what really worked well and what didn't. And it's okay if at the end of it you go, actually I didn't develop much, but I'd still planned it well enough, and that's what happened. So.
Okay.
Cool. Right, we'll finish up there.